So Stu Macher is back for Scream 7, and we weren't around to talk about it.
Yeah.
We got some good news this week in the form of a potential trailer description of Scream 7's new trailer. There's got to be a better way to say that.
Take all of this with another grain of salt. Nothing's been confirmed. There was somebody online who claims that they work in I think they said they work in a movie theater and they're going over the trailers because supposedly this is going to drop in front of the new Conjuring movie, but he claims there's nothing in the system that shows that currently or something that's supposed to be delivered. So view this as kind of like a spoiler-esque video, just in case it is true.
So consider that your warning, and if you do not want any of the information that we are about to kind of try to dissect here to make its way into your beautiful little ears, now would be the time to click away. So jumping right into the information, it would appear that the opening of the trailer is probably going to be the opening of the movie, where we are introduced to Jimmy Tatro and Michelle Randolph's characters, who are staying at a very questionable Airbnb.
The Airbnb is Stu's house, the house that we already revisited, because Memberberry.
You know, how you want to visit a serial killer's house and stay the night where also a bunch of people have been murdered.
Yeah, we call that Easter egg.
The trailer then cuts to the couple finding a pretty creepy and convincing ghost face animatronic that, provides a pretty decent jump scare from what we're understanding, followed by, of course, a real ghost face attack, which that's on par with what you expect from the trailers of these things, right?
From there, we see the typical horror movie trailer montage of the new characters along with the original selling point of this movie, which was Sidney Prescott coming back. And in this, she now owns a bookstore. Coffee shop. Yeah, because she wrote a book and then they're like, we'll ignore that and just make it a coffee shop because,
It's 2025, Tyler. She is a strong woman. She can very, very happily work within many different fields.
Yeah, but just make another book. You got material.
But then, of course, the trailer takes a serious turn when Sydney receives what she believes to be a prank phone call from the killer. But unlike in Scream 2 with Corey Gillis, she decides to just kind of hang up, I think. And from there, the killer decides to FaceTime her to prove I'm real. But not only that, he does her one better and takes the mask off, revealing that he is Stu Macher.
That's right, the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew Lillard, the other selling point of this movie.
And course correction.
And course correction, yes. They're doing the very, Last Jedi route with, we're going to go ahead and... Or not Last Jedi, what was the other one? Rise of Skywalker, yeah. Where they're like, we're going to bring in someone that you guys like. So... I'm not bitter.
From there, it seems we get some sort of, investigatory montage between Sydney and Gale, where ultimately it concludes in them on the grounds of some sort of psychiatric ward. What that means for the movie, we don't know. We, of course, have theories here at Deep Red, but I think we're going to talk about those in a future video. And then from there, just another little lovely scene with Sydney and Gale that would indicate that Sydney is willing to go on her talk show, which I've heard a lot of people kind of have mixed feelings on, because Sydney is, where we meet her in Scream 1, yeah, she absolutely does not want to be on camera, doesn't want to be that person, but we have to remember that in 2011, Scream 4 came out, and she's an author now. She's famous. So
she had a publicist.
Yeah, and that publicist does say stuff about her going on talk shows and doing all this other stuff, so I don't see this as too far out of the realm of possibility that she would go on to her best friend's morning talk show if she's doing it for Barbara Walters, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it might be kind of a character development of her, as humble as she's always been portrayed. This is sort of I'm going to put this aside for us to help figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Sacrifice it for the investigation. At least that's how I'm in a more positive light looking at it.
Yeah. We are then treated to our first kind of inclination that there will be a B plot in this. So our A plot would be Sydney and Gale is what we're kind of led to believe. And then the B plot will be Sydney's oldest daughter, who I don't know if this is confirmed or if it's rumored, but her name is rumored or confirmed to be Tatum, which I think is a lovely homage. Yeah. So we're kind of getting some intercutting between Sydney and Gale, and then Tatum and her friends investigating and trying to ultimately kind of figure out who's behind all of this.
There is supposedly a scene where there's some kind of attack in like the auditorium of a school. I don't think it specifies that somebody gets murdered. Obviously, that's probably not something they want to give away, but it is a nice callback to the original, where Sydney's almost attacked in the bathroom, and then inevitably the principal gets murdered in his office.
And I think it's also a pretty good homage to like the attack in Scream 2 as well, when Sydney's on like her like performance art bullshit.
Yeah.
We are then supposed to be treated to, I guess, some sort of reference to a kill in Scream 4 with Olivia Morris. I don't necessarily know what that means, but I think from what I had heard, the kill kind of mirrors it in that two characters are led to believe that the killer is in their house, but the attack is actually going to take place like across the street or across the yard. It is being said that somewhere in the trailer, could be at the end or somewhere in it, we do get a brief look at Chad and Mindy in the movie. I'm super excited that at least two of the surviving members of the Core Four are coming back for this. I don't know how they would be able to justify not having any of them.
I honestly think that they're going to come in at like the end of the second act being like, we need your help, like for the team up, and then
So
it goes into the third act.
From what I hear, there is a rumor going around. This could obviously not be true at all, but so I do know that like there's like a bar, like a pretty significant bar sequence that happens in it, and I know that Mason Gooding was on set for that and was shooting, and I don't know where that takes place. Obviously, none of us do, but I'm under the impression that he's like supposed to be like Gail's intern or something like that. So he's kind of along for the ride with her, and I'm assuming then that's how Mindy kind of comes along. But yeah, we'll find out February 26th.
With Scream being like my utter like favorite horror franchise, I've been very nervous for this movie ever since they said Kevin Williams was going to be directing. And I feel like obviously too with the drama behind the scenes of what originally was going to be Scream 7, I feel like a majority of what they're doing is very gimmicky, very trying to, like you said, course correct. And I'm going to go in with a positive mindset because, like I've told you many times before, I don't hate watch stuff. If I really don't want to watch it, I just don't watch it. So I'm going to hope. And I'm going to hope too that if all of this is true, that it's executed better on screen for me to actually see it as opposed to, us reading it online. Because we can always interpret something a different way just the way we read it as opposed to like seeing it in action. But I'm just very much hoping that this isn't just straight up gimmick member berries, like just spoon feeding us everything, hoping that there's enough seats filled to at least make back what there was before. Like, at this point, justify a reason for having this movie. Because there's also a difference between homage and just straight ripoff and rehash. And I feel like with a lot of that stuff, it's a bit too on the nose, and it's a bit too like, look, we know you love this one thing. We did it. Look, you love this. And I don't want that. I want them to just make a good movie. Hope, and even if it's just serviceable enough to where I enjoy it, I'll be happy. But right now, if this is what that first trailer is, I'm definitely not watching anything past that. No teasers, no nothing. I just want to go in with being like, because if they show that much of their hand in this, then I'm nervous for what else they could possibly show us.
That's fair.
And
for me, I land more on the excited about some of this, if true. I think I kind of went into expecting them to market the movie with Stu and with some of these things because I don't think that those are all the cards that they have to play. I think that this movie has a lot more in store for us than we realize, and I think that them confirming some of these returning characters was something that they were able to do because they know that ultimately there's something bigger on the other end of this. I'm hopeful that I'm right on that because obviously I could be wrong. This could all be one big move to make up for the kind of controversial, explosive termination of Melissa Barrera and then subsequent, resignation of Christopher Landon. So a lot of this could very much so just be them trying to kind of clean up the mess that they made. I don't think that would be the move, and I don't think that the creatives that are involved in this are going to allow something like that to happen, especially Kevin Williamson being the director of this one, being the person who created the franchise, the significance that it holds in his life. I don't see him signing on to a soulless sequel. You know what I mean? And with that said, too, there have also been a lot of really, really nice sentiments shared by a lot of the people involved with the making of that. It was very important to Neve Campbell and to Kevin Williamson to bring this back to what Scream started as. That while the newer movies have been fun and enjoyable, ultimately they want to get to something that feels a little bit more what Wes wanted. Which I think at the end of the day, if that's the intention, even if they don't really land the plane, if that's truly the intention that shows in the work, that'll matter more to the fan base than anything else, really.
This is going to be the rise of Skywalker.
But yeah, that's what we had for you guys today. Please feel free to let us know your thoughts about any of this in the comments, provided you stayed long enough to hear any of it. We never know how these are going to go.
And like I said, take this with a grain of salt. This is in no way confirmed. I don't believe there's no footage leaked online of this. But this is just more of something that we've come across through other channels that we enjoy. So we thought maybe it'd be something interesting to talk about.
Yeah. But yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Love you. Bye.
Bye.